So the Mini 4 Pro is officially 6 months old. I've traveled all over the world and put a ton of hours into flying this thing. And in this video, I'm gonna be answering the question of whether this is still the best mini drone on the market. Let's do it. So I got this drone a little over 6 months ago, and I have been super impressed, even compared to the Mini 3, which was just the version before it. But there's also definitely some not great things that I've slowly discovered as I've flown it more and more. So in this video, I'm gonna be going over the good things, the bad things, and the overall goal is just to give you a really good idea of whether you want to buy it or not. Before we get into that, if you could take a quick second to hit the like button, it helps the channel out tremendously. It really just helps get my work out there, and if you do that, I will put a very cute photo of a baby seal at the end of this video. Okay, now back to it. The first and genuinely probably my favorite thing about this drone is just how easy it is to bring everywhere. My other main drone that I have is the DJI Mavic 3 Pro, and it is just so much bigger. I recently just got back from a month-long motorcycle trip through Central America, which, by the way, if you're following me on Instagram, you know that it definitely didn't go exactly to plan, but we did finally end up making it down to Panama with like 12 hours to spare. If you aren't following me on Instagram, I'll leave my handle somewhere around here, but that's where I kind of just post all my like daily adventures and stuff like that. But anyways, on this trip, because everything we need has to fit on the bike, we have to be super particular about what we're bringing and really just optimize for ease of use and just being able to film at a moment's notice. Because if you have to stop, unstrap your bag, open it up, get the drone, get back on the bike, it's just this whole big process. But with how small this thing is folded up, you can just put this, the controller, and a couple batteries inside the tank bag, which basically just sits like right in front of you. You can pull off to the side of the road, and within 30 seconds, the drone is up and flying. We also had a little controller mount for the handlebars, so you could just fly while you're riding. With a bigger DJI drone like the Air or Mavic, there's just no way you could do that. But with this thing, whether you're on a motorcycle trip or just going on a hike, if you have any extra space in your bag or even space in your pockets, you can just throw this thing in. Obviously, you lose some features like the zoom lens or a little bit of quality compared to those bigger drones, but as far as video quality, I'm actually super impressed with this drone. And this brings me right into the next point, which is the video quality itself. This thing shoots at 4K 60 HDR, shoots 4K 100, has D-Log M, and some other features that make it quite a big upgrade from the previous version. I was actually pretty shocked how good the 4K 100 was. It's like way better than the 1080 120 on the Mini 3. The 4K 30, 4K 60 also looks quite a bit better on this drone. On top of that, you have a bunch more flexibility in post for a couple reasons. Like I said, this drone has D-Log M finally. Before it was D-Cinelike, which was basically just a color profile that kind of looked like log, but wasn't proper log. D-Log M is a lot closer to a proper log profile. This just makes it way easier to color grade and get the result that you're looking for. By the way, all the color grades that you're seeing on this video are from my drone LUT pack that I recently just released. I know you guys are probably sick of people selling their LUT packs on YouTube, but I put a ton of hard work and effort into it, and I'm so stoked that it's finally out there. Because the LUTs that are in my LUT pack are a set of just 4 LUTs that I've used for the past 3+ years to color grade every single clip that you see on this channel, my Instagram, wherever. So if you end up getting my LUTs, you shouldn't ever need to buy any more in the future. They work for normal drones, GoPros, and actually even this footage that you're seeing right now. Link is down below if you're interested. The second thing that really makes this camera's video footage a lot better is that you can finally adjust the sharpness. One of the downsides of cameras like GoPros and small sensor drones is that when you have a small sensor, a lot of times the image looks like over sharpened. It just kind of has this weird look that you can tell it's a small sensor. On GoPro, you've always been able to adjust the sharpness, so I always turn that down, but you haven't on DJI drones, but now you finally can with the Mini 4. But obviously there are some more apparent downsides of having a small sensor. The aperture on here is locked at f1.7, which is great for shooting anything at night, but during the daytime, because the aperture is so wide, you get a ton of light in there. And because there's so much light coming in here, if you're shooting on auto, it will auto put the shutter speed insanely high and it'll give you this really like grainy, sharpened look. So to get the best results, you need to be using an ND filter. The Mavic series, for example, has an adjustable aperture, which kind of helps you balance out so you don't need quite as high of a shutter speed, but you can't do that on here. Luckily, these ND filters are super easy to just snap on, and there are some great companies out there making them. DJI has a set, I think, if you buy the Fly More combo. And then also Freewell filters are some that I've always used and enjoyed. If you're not familiar, ND filters are basically just like sunglasses for your drone that allow you to get the proper shutter speed. Now, one advantage that this drone has over bigger drones is that the sensor actually physically flips upwards so you can shoot vertical. Nowadays, so much of the world is focused on social media. So a lot of times, big projects that I'm shooting, I only need vertical video. And for example, if I was shooting a campaign that's gonna end up vertical on my Mavic 3, it's gonna have a super wide image like this, and I'm gonna have to cut like 2/3 of it off to get that vertical ratio. So if you're shooting for social media, a lot of the quality that you gain from shooting on something like the Mavic 3 is lost in the crop. Like I talked about earlier in this video, I just got back from a big motorcycle trip. Halfway through the trip, there was a pretty significant hiccup, but prior to that big hiccup, there was a near disaster as well. And that disaster was not being able to watch the Super Bowl because we were in Guatemala. But thanks to the sponsor of this video, we were able to figure it out. And that sponsor is NordVPN, which is actually a company that I've been using personally for the past 3 years. I actually recently just reached out to them just because I thought it would be a perfect company to partner with for the channel, and I was super stoked when they said yes. Essentially what NordVPN does is allow you to hide and change the location of your IP address. This allows you to do things like watch the Super Bowl from a foreign country, and obviously, more importantly, keep you safe from criminals when you're online. When you use NordVPN, sketchy people in coffee shops can't access things like passwords, login informations, and just all your personal info. I spend a ton of time all over the place working at public coffee shops, and it's way more common than you think for people to access your personal information when you're out in public. But with literally one click, you just turn NordVPN on and you're good. So you're safe, you're protected, and you can do things like watch the Super Bowl in a foreign country or access other countries' Netflixes that have more TV shows and movies. Like I've said before on this channel, I never partner with any companies or brands that I don't personally use and recommend, and Nord is something that I've personally been using and paying for the past few years. I honestly just love the product. I think it's the best VPN out there for the best price. There's a link down below in the description where you can get 4 months extra on a 2-year plan. Just visit this link or click it down in the description below. So try it out, let me know what you think, and it's 100% risk-free because they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thank you, Nord, for sponsoring this, and let's get back to the video. Another big advantage of this drone is that it's less than 250 grams. This allows you to fly in locations where it's just not legal to fly bigger drones, such as over roads or over crowds of people. You need to check with your local regulations, but that's how it is in the States. On top of that, it's ridiculously quiet. I do a lot of work for hotels and resorts, and when someone's like on vacation trying to relax, like the most annoying thing in the world is if there's a super loud drone just like hovering above them relaxing by the pool. Bigger drones like the Mavic 3 are super loud, and especially FPV drones are just like the loudest thing ever. But with the Mini 4, it's crazy quiet. You can fly that thing like 30 feet above you and barely hear it. Next up, I want to talk about the active track and the 360-degree obstacle avoidance. I've had mixed results with this. For the most part, the active track is amazing. It's super simple to use and does a great job avoiding obstacles and keeping the subject really nicely, smoothly centered. It's super simple to use and does an amazing job of just avoiding obstacles and getting around things for the most part. I did have one pretty significant crash where I was chasing myself driving a car, and the drone just like whipped around and absolutely plowed into some trees hard enough where I had to send it in to get fixed. I'm not sure if it was just how fast we were going or the path that I chose, but yeah, it just totally didn't see this huge tree and just absolutely demolished itself. So if you are using active track, just know it's not perfect and sometimes it doesn't see every single obstacle. But compared to a drone that doesn't have 360 obstacle avoidance, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable on this one. One thing that I've found out is is actually a pretty big downside, and that's just the battery life. On paper, it says the battery life is 34 minutes, but I found in the past, usually with drones, whatever it says on paper, if you just divide that by 2 and add 6, that's usually like a legitimate battery life when you're actually flying around and getting shots. With this one, it's actually a little bit lower, and I average anywhere between like 19 and 23 minutes of battery. Honestly, this thing is just so packed with features, it just draws a lot more energy than a simpler drone. Luckily, if you get the Fly More combo, it comes with this battery pack, which is super nice because it charges really fast. It usually takes like an hour to charge this whole thing. So you can swap batteries pretty quickly. And another really cool feature of this, it actually has an out charger right here. So for example, if you're on a shoot and you like forgot to charge your controller or something. Of course, this definitely has never happened to me because I'm a professional drone pilot. But let's say theoretically, you were out in the middle of nowhere and you completely forgot to charge your controller. You can just charge it via this and you're all good. Definitely hasn't happened to me though. If you are getting this drone, I'd also highly recommend getting the DJI RC2. This thing is awesome, and when I first started using these built-in screen controllers, I really didn't think that I would like it. I just figured it was just too big and bulky, but I really do like it. Compared to the DJI RC N2, which is like the base version that comes with the Mini 4, this is a massive upgrade. The screen is big. The new DJI RC2 has these antennas, which give the range a huge boost, and just not having to deal with like cords and plugging in your phone just makes flying way simpler. One downside though that I've noticed is the screen isn't bright enough sometimes. Like if you're in direct daylight, sun is just like beaming down. A lot of times it's just hard to see the screen. So that's definitely something that I'd love to see upgraded on the next version. Another thing I want to talk about where this drone struggles is in windy conditions. Because it's so light, it gets blown around quite a bit, and sometimes that can be the difference between getting a shot or not. A couple times, for example, it's actually made getting shots completely impossible because I would be getting like a top-down shot, so the drone is going up, camera's down, and it was just slowly climbing and a huge wind gust would come, and so the drone would do this to compensate, and this just wasn't able to, like it reaches a limit, so it wasn't able to compensate for it. So this nice like pull back shot just had like a bad jerk in it. So if you're someone who's gonna be flying in super windy conditions, I might recommend going for a bigger, beefier model. All right, so my last few points that I wanna talk about are a little bit picky because honestly, there's like a lot to love about this drone. But like with any product, there are certain things that you can improve. The first thing has to do with the propellers. So unlike a lot of DJI's other drones, these propellers, if I can get it to focus, they're actually screwed in instead of like an easy on-off mechanism. And sometimes if you happen to be out in the field and you forget a screwdriver and you end up crashing or breaking a propeller somehow, you're kind of just screwed because you can't change it. The other DJI propellers are super easy. You literally just push them on, spin, and then you're good to go. The next thing is something that I actually haven't ran into issues with yet, but I could foresee being a problem, and that's the fact that the SD card port and the USB-C port aren't covered. So if you're flying in the rain, which by the way, weirdly, I've like had no problems with DJI drones in the past, like flying in pretty heavy rain. But with this one, I'd be a little bit more nervous just because those are exposed. Most drones have little tabs that kind of cover it up. Those last ones are a little bit nitpicky, but let's move on to my final thoughts. So does the Mini 4 still hold to the test of time after 6 months? Short answer is yes. This is still my pick for the best sub 250 gram drone on the market, and also my pick for the best budget drone on the market. It's simple, durable, easy to bring around with you on adventures, and the camera quality is really solid. For beginners, I'd say this is definitely my #1 recommendation, especially with the 360 obstacle avoidance. And even people who have been flying drones for years and are just looking for a video quality upgrade, or they want that obstacle avoidance, this is also a great pick. Honestly, this is the perfect drone for about 90% of all drone pilots out there. The only people that this might not be the best pick for is people looking to do super high-end cinematography. Drones like the DJI Air and the Mavic series have multiple lenses and just have bigger sensors, so you're going to get better results from them. And that's definitely something I'd love to see on this mini drone in the future. Anyways, guys, I really hope that video just helped you figure out whether you want to buy this drone or not. And if you do end up wanting to buy this drone, it would mean the world to me if you use the link down below. It's an affiliate link, so I get like a small commission if you do end up purchasing it. And that just helps me make more videos like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you are someone that hit the like button earlier, I have a really adorable photo of a baby seal for you. And if you're someone who didn't hit the like button, either click off this video now or there's still time. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.